Yeah, g'day. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris and I'm coming to you today from the beautiful Cotter Reserve here in the ACT. This is Ngunnawal land and I pay my respects to Aboriginal people and their ongoing connection to the land, water and skies. Yeah, a few weeks ago someone reached out to me and asked if I could do a bit of an overview of what I take with me when I go swag camping, which is essentially what do I carry with me in my ute, because all of my camping gear I basically store in the back of my ute here, except my swag, which is in a shed at home, and my esky, which is also in a shed. But I haven't got much storage space at home. I've got to live in a pretty tiny little place, so most of the stuff just gets stored in the back of the car here, and I'll show you that in a sec. But I guess first and foremost, you can't go swag camping without a car or a ute or something like that. They're just not. They're not designed to lug through the bush like when you go hiking. So you can only really go swag camping if you've got a car. So I went out and I bought this car a couple of years ago because I found I had a two-wheel drive ute prior to this, and I found I wasn't able to get to a lot of places where I wanted to go. So a couple of years ago I bought this. This is four-wheel drive. It's a great ute. I bought it second hand. I'm not made of money, so but I love this car. It cost me about 30 grand, I think, and it's never missed a beat. I've had it for 2 years. It's got about 120,000 k's on the clock now, but yeah, goes like a trooper. Diesel cost me a fortune to drive it, but other than that, it's spot on, and it does everything I need. I was pretty specific about the things I needed when I was looking. So I needed the big storage things on the back because I know I needed to store all my camping gear, and I needed to be able to lock it up. So I needed the things on the back. I needed a bull bar. I haven't ever hit a kangaroo, but I go in a lot of places where those things are more than likely to happen at some point, and I do what I can to avoid it. But I didn't want to be damaging my car, so I wanted a bull bar as well. So yeah, this is the ute, Mitsubishi Triton. When I go camping, it makes it really easy because I can just basically chuck the swag on the back, get some food, chuck it in the esky, chuck the esky in the back here. I usually keep the esky in the back seat here, along with maybe a change of clothes and my computer or anything like that if I'm going to do some work while I'm away. And that usually goes on the back of the back seat here. But the bulk of the stuff is kept in the tray. So let's have a look at that. Yeah, so this is the bulk of my gear. Most of the stuff I use for when I'm swag camping is on this side. This is more for when I'm hiking. So in this side here, up the top, I've got all my sort of cooking gear. This is the gear I'm using mostly at the moment. It's a Stanley cooking pot, which locks down. So it comes with a lid, but inside I've got a pot stand for the stove, which is in here as well, cigarette lighter, stove, and my coffee cup. So it all sort of fits in there nicely. And lid on top, and locks down. It's a good bit of gear. It's just very thin and tall rather than short and squat. This one was fit better on the stove, but I'm sort of working with that. I've also got an old pot which I've had for years and years and years. That's in there as well, and a couple of gas cylinders, which I always have a full one and the one I'm going with, so in case I run out. Yes, that's what's up on the top little shelf there. Down below, this hasn't got anything to do with hiking, but I do carry a full-sized first aid kit, which I keep fully stocked with gear. It's important to make sure you've got the things you need at hand when you're miles away from anyone. So I always carry a good sized first aid kit. This is a pillow, believe it or not. This is a full-size pillow. It's a compressible pillow, so it's in a compression sack, so it opens up into a proper size pillow. I do like my comfort when I'm camping, so I make a big compromise and I carry that around with me. On a similar sort of vein to being comfortable, this is my air mattress. It's huge, I know. I bought it from Temu. It cost about $70, but it's 10 centimeters thick, and it's very sturdy, but it's also carries a bit of weight. But again, I like to be comfortable, and this and that pillow are big compromises, but they're worth it for me when I'm hiking. So yeah, and last of all, on this side is for hiking is my tent. So that's got everything in there. So ready to go, I can grab that and run. It's got all the pegs, all the poles, the fly, and the tent itself all in one little bundle. I keep a lot of, I've got 3 ground sheets, or 3 cheaper tarps, which I use for ground sheets. This one is it's like a rubbery sort of go, pretty cheap and pretty small. It just covers the footprint of my swag, but I use this when I'm hiking because it doesn't weigh much, but I still like to keep the tent up off the ground if I can. But I've got a couple of proper heavy duty tarps here which I use for ground sheets as well. Yeah, okay, moving on to this side. This is the stuff that relates more to camping. So on this side I've got a spare pair of boots, an old pair of the boots that I'm wearing now, which I keep in here as well. You'll always get wet boots from time to time. The rain will get on them, or just walking through grass for a couple of hours and they'll get soaked. So it's always good to have a spare pair of boots. So they're up there. Another first aid kit. This is a bites and stings one. We're in Australia, snakes are a thing. So this is a particularly like a specific type of kit which I carry. Got compression bandages in there, an ice pack. It's also got a couple of things I threw in there, some ibuprofen and some stingos and things like that, and a shock blanket. So I've sort of adapted it a little bit, but again, specifically for snakes. Crappy air pillow, which I should throw out, it's up there as well. This little section here is where I keep my tarps that I use for protection. So these are good quality tarps. They're both from DD Hammocks. This is 4 meters by 4 meters. So this is the green one you've probably seen in some of my videos. Yeah, 4 meters by 4 meters. It's a huge tarp, but I like to be well covered. The swag, I don't want the swag to get wet, so I want to make sure that I've got a lot of coverage. So if I'm expecting a lot of rain or a big storm and a lot of wind, I'll use the 4x4 4x4 tarp. It also gives me space outside the swag, so I can sit outside if I want to, or things like that, and still be outside but still protected from the rain. So yeah, 4x4. And this is the 3x3 version, again by DD Hammocks. This is the brown one, so you've probably seen this in my videos as well. So yeah, same deal, same quality. They're fantastic tarps, like they're nylon. They haven't missed a beat. I've had them for years. They are still as good as the day I bought them. Like the tie-out points, there's no fraying, there's no hint that the hems or the seams are coming undone. 100% waterproof. Haven't torn any of them, haven't ripped any of them. I am pretty careful with them, of course. But they're still as good as the day I bought them. I use compression sacks, so I just stuff them into one of these compression sacks. So I'm not folding them, so they're not creating folds in them in the actual tarp. So every time I store them, stored a bit differently. But yeah, never missed a beat. Love them. Fantastic bit of gear. There's also a bag of spare pegs in there and a hammer. Sitting in between the two tarps is my grab bag with all of the sort of accessories I'm going to need when it comes to using tarps. So in here there is ridge lines, lots of guy lines, all my pegs that I'm going to need, toggles, guy lines, like I said. Everything I need to set my tarps up is in this little bag. So that's all ready to go, and that sits in between the tarps. Now on the bottom is kind of my hammock gear. So this is my hammock. Again, this is from DD Hammocks. Yeah, I stick with what I know, and I've always been impressed by their gear. But this is a full hammock ready to go. They're extra large, but it's just a little bit bigger than a normal size hammock. But it's big, it's comfortable, and I can sort of stretch out in it a bit. But again, everything's in this bag. The tree hugger straps to tie it to a tree, the adjustment cables, all of that sort of stuff's in here. The fly net, the poles to lay it out, and a couple of guy lines that I'm going to need. Again, it's all in here. I can grab it and I can go real quick. and every hammock setup needs a underquilt, and this is a compression sack with a proper down underquilt inside it. This costs a fair bit, more than the hammock in fact, but it does do a great job keeping you warm when you're sleeping in your hammock. Believe it or not, you need that even in summer half the time. Oh yeah, I've also got a little gear sling. So this is like a mini hammock which sort of sits under your big hammock, which means you can just put your pack in it if you want to keep it up off the ground. Never actually used it, so I might have to give it a go one day. But yeah, it's like a little baby sling, baby hammock. Also down the bottom, I've got a little mesh bivvy. This is just basically a fly net which I can sleep in, so it's, you know, the size of a sleeping bag, but it sort of props up on one end. So if it's summer and I know it's not going to rain and I just want to lie out and look under the stars, but I don't want to be eaten by mozzies, this thing comes in handy. I've used it a few times. It's quite good, a bit claustrophobic. I'm not a big fan of having it, you know, not that much movement, but it does serve a purpose. But yeah, it's tiny, so it's nice and handy as well. And yeah, we're in Australia, so always have sunscreen on tap everywhere you go. So yeah, that's the side components that you can see. So I'll just sort of talk you through these drawers. On the bottom, I've got is where most of the stuff that I need on a day-to-day basis is. So in here I've got emergency poncho in case it starts raining. Got some leather gloves, handy when you're using the fire. Got a little LED lamp, which might be handy. I do have this little zip-up bag, which is kind of a grab bag as well. It's basically got a whole heap of extra cordage, you know, more band-aids. What else is in here? Another lighter, some electrical tape, waterproof matches, some twine, you know, just stuff I'm going to need, or you know, if I lose something, these are backups. So it's all in one spot, and I can grab that and go as well. What else is in here? Got a little fold-out saw for when I need to chop up some firewood or, you know, clear something away. Nice and handy. Got a little cigarette tin which I got from an antique store here in Canberra, and it's got a spare lighter and some gaffer tape and a ferro rod. Just a backup lighter, you know, fire starting pack. Also got a knife just in case I need to, you know, cut something or, you know, make a toggle or something like that. I've got a knife that I can take with me. I know I've got a hammer in there, but this is a hammer I bought specifically to take hiking with me. It's red, so I won't lose it, but it's also light. You know, the aluminium is not heavy, but it's got a good solid head on it. Where I go camping, there's a lot of rocks, but those rocks aren't very strong, so I can't use them as hammers, but I've got to drive through them half the time, so a hammer is pretty important. I got out somewhere, one of the camps I went to, can't remember where it was, when I was right down south, and I literally struggled to get my pegs in. So yeah, I bought a hammer as a result of that. Weighs, I don't know, not much, maybe 200 grams, but it's very handy. I've also got a little solid fuel stove, one of those little tiny stoves that you can put twigs in and keep a fire. I've only used it a couple of times, but it's, you know, handy if I need it. Got a compass in here as well. Yeah, I've never had to use it, but I do know how to use it. I did do a course, so I learned how to use it. But yeah, got a compass just in case I need to go somewhere where there's no cellular navigation that I could use. But yeah, just a backup. And what else have I got? Some deodorant, always handy. Bug spray. Yeah, so that's what's on the bottom shelf. That's the stuff I go to the most, so it's always on the, that's why it's on the bottom. Let's have a look at the other shelves. Yeah, so on this side I got a couple of grills. This one folds out, you can put it over a fire. That one's for my stove. Eucalyptus spray. It's one of those Catadine bee-free water filters for when I'm hiking and don't want to carry too much water and I know there's water around. Got a pee bottle, more for when I'm in my hammock. It's not so bad when you're in a swag, but getting out of a hammock at 4 o'clock in the morning is a right pain in the ass, especially when it's cold. And a little pipe grabber to collect things up off the fire. In the second shelf from the top, I've got all my bowls and plates and cutlery and crockery in a little drawstring bag. Got my cast iron fry pan, which is in there, won't get out. But most importantly of all I have my little coffee pot. Love it. Up on top, basically all the stuff I don't use very often. So I've got a couple of extra compression sacks that aren't being used, some candles, a bit of extra rope, some newspaper, a bit more gaffer tape. Oh yeah, I do have a waterproof jacket which I keep in here at all times. This is one of those frog togs things. They look terrible, they're baggy as all hell, but they do keep the rain off you. I've been caught a couple of times where it's not expecting rain and then you get out and suddenly it's pouring with rain. So always keep one of these in the car as well. Yeah, so that's the stuff that you see, but there's also a slide out tray here. And this is where I keep anything that basically won't fit up there. So I've got my stool, little 3-prong stool. Love this thing. There's also a Max Track. It's actually not a Max Track, it's a rip-off one, but it does fit in here. The Max Track ones wouldn't actually fit. So I've got a different brand, but it does fit. So that sits in there. There's a tray on the other side as well, and the other one's in there. I've got a shovel, which is also part of the recovery gear system. A lot of the times when I go hiking, I actually don't record them. So, and when I do, I take these hiking poles. I actually quite like walking with hiking poles, but if you've got to carry a camera, they're a bit of a pain. So I only ever take them when I'm not recording. So you probably haven't seen them, but I do use those a lot. I've also got a couple of tent poles, which I use for the awning on the swag mostly, or to help me with the tarp, just so I don't have to find big long sticks. Eucalypts, they're magnificent trees, but they don't tend to grow in straight lines. You don't tend to get long straight sticks, so it's always handy to have a couple of these if you can carry them around. Yeah, so that's the bulk of the stuff I take when I'm swag camping, and it all sort of fits in there nicely. It's always handy to be able to have it all on one side of the ute, but I do have some stuff on the other side which is more of a backup, so let's go and take a look at that. Yeah, so on this side I've got it's not as full. I've got a couple of extra sleeping bags. Quite often I go camping with the kids. We've got a big tent, like a family tent, which we use. That's at home, it's not here, but I keep the sleeping bags in here, so they're ready to go. Another pair of boots. I never have too many pairs of boots. I've got an elastic net, which I can put over the whole tray if I've got to take stuff out to the tip, which I had to do yesterday. And in the trays, I've just got basically tools. So hammer, molly grips, rivet gun, tape measure, more gaffer tape, electric drill charger, mini hacksaw, electrician's screwdriver, and a couple of different size shifting spanners. In this drawer that's got a extra lock on it, I've got a couple of electric screwdrivers. And in here, this is just a grab bag toolkit as well, so it's got screwdrivers, spanners, just the things you're going to need, some pliers and all those sorts of things, so I can just grab this and go if I need to be away from the ute. There's also a tyre repair kit in here. Don't profess to know how to use it. I think I'll probably just call NRMA. And top drawer, not even sure what's in here. Newspaper and some lubricant for my chainsaw. So yeah, not much in this side, but sort of more of a backup. And I quite often will chuck my water bottles and things in here if I'm taking a lot of water with me, so they can fit in here nicely. Great system. I love the aluminium toolboxes. They come in really handy. They're super waterproof, so nothing gets wet in here, which is great. The only downside is aluminium dust. It's fine when you're just picking things out every now and then, you don't get it over you, but just talking through it, covered in aluminium dust. So that's not so good. But yeah, so that's the stuff I take with me when I go swag camping. So I hope that answers all the questions that people had. Yeah, great that it all fits in the car. It means I can just basically hit the road. Like if I'm having a crappy day on a Friday, 2 o'clock or something, and I think, bugger it, I'm going to go camping, I can be on the road out to the wilderness in 20 minutes. It's fantastic because it's all ready to go. All I need to do is go to the shops, grab something to eat for dinner, fill a few bottles with water and chuck them in the esky, and I'm off. So yeah, great that it all fits in the ute, and great that I can sort of have it all ready to go at a moment's notice, because I quite often do that, and I'll just ring up my wife and say, I won't be home for dinner, I'm going to be out, I'll see you tomorrow morning. And she's getting used to that, which is good. So yeah, so that's my gear. Hope that answers the questions, and hope that you enjoyed coming along as I sort of stepped you through it. But yeah, till next time, stay safe.